flu seasons. Our health reporter Michelle Roberts explains.
Free flu vaccines are offered each year by the NHS to people most at risk from getting very sick with influenza. While uptake among older people in England remained high last year, only 1 in every 3 pregnant women was vaccinated. Among those with long-term health conditions, uptake was about 4 in 10, compared with 5 in 10 the year before. Experts are urging people who are eligible to get their free jabs ahead of winter. The call follows concerns from NHS England over a possible triple-demic of flu, COVID and respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV.
Flu can result in deaths. In fact, it's estimated that almost 20,000 deaths from flu occurred in the last 2 winter seasons alone. And that really is a stark reminder that as we approach winter, this infection, as well as other infections, can be serious and actually cause significant harm. And that's why it's so important for those, if you are offered, if you're invited and called up for the vaccine, to really take up that offer and not to delay.
Some people will have already received an invitation, and most eligible adults will be able to get the flu vaccine from this month onwards. Michelle Roberts, BBC News.
Let's talk more about this with our friend, the GP, Dr Helen Wall, who joins us. Good morning. Hi, Helen. So people will be watching this morning think, can I get it? Do I need to get it? What are the rules? Who's eligible for a flu vaccine?
There's quite a lot of people eligible for a free NHS flu vaccine. It's important to say that those who aren't eligible can still probably access this from a pharmacy, but those who are eligible in the NHS are anybody who's over 65, those in a long-term care home, residential care, those who are under 65 but have clinical risks, so they've got diabetes, asthma, COPD, other health conditions, those who are immunocompromised, and even people who live with those who are immunocompromised, or carers who care for people who have these conditions, or elderly relatives, are all eligible, including also frontline health and social care workers. So there's a huge group.
And so should people in those groups, will they get something through the post? Will they get a call or a text?
Yeah,
from the
they should be
surgery?
being contacted if they haven't already by their own practice. They should be getting a notification from the NHS that they are eligible. And I think the important thing to say is, if you are eligible because we think you are at risk. The reason that we are notifying particular people is because these are the people that we know are at risk of being hospitalised, and we had almost 20,000 people hospitalised with flu over the last couple of years. So this is a big thing, you know, we need to get people vaccinated.
And we know that vaccination levels have dropped slightly. I mean, there's been so much talk over the last few years of COVID, hasn't there? In some ways, have we forgotten that actually flu is a really serious infection as well if you get it?
Yeah, I think we've sort of lost our way a little bit with flu. We've seen those flu vaccine uptake rates drop last year, slightly the year before. So we've now got a situation where our clinically at-risk individuals, only 4 in 10 of them last year were vaccinated. Similarly with pregnant women, and that's another group I forgot to mention, pregnant women and children are also eligible. Only 3 in 10 pregnant women were vaccinated last year, which is really, really concerning because we know that pregnant women can become very sick with any virus and it can have effects and consequences to both mum and baby. So, yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of people eligible and it's really important that people come forwards now.
Are they different vaccines, COVID and flu vaccines? You can't just get one combined vaccine.
No, there isn't a combined vaccine, but a lot of places will double deliver. So they'll give you 1 in one arm and 1 in the other. I get that some people don't want that, and that's, I think, another thing that may have driven some people to not have the flu vaccine last year, because they may have been that their practice or their clinic that they normally go to was offering 1 in each arm, and some people don't want that. We would advise you to have it that way because it gets both done together and we know that you're protected for winter. But if you don't want that, then you know there's plenty of pharmacies that will deliver this, plenty of GP practice that will deliver it singly as well. So please just sort of look at your options.
Because there's RSV as well, isn't there, that we've been talking about here on the sofa. So there's a lot for people to take in, isn't it?
It's overwhelming, isn't it? And I think people, as you said, you know, have moved their eye a little bit off flu because of all the COVID vaccinations. And I think you know, when people have lived through a pandemic, they're probably feeling a little bit invincible as well. You know, everybody that's here now has likely lived through COVID and perhaps feels that, you know, they've been through the worst of whatever can happen to them. But the two most important things that we've ever done in public health and history is sanitise water and provide vaccines. They've saved millions of lives, you know, across the globe. So it's really important that we don't take our eye off the ball for this one.
But you can kind of understand, having been through the pandemic and vaccination programmes, that people might just be either fed up with it and I've had so many jabs I don't want to have any more, or concerned that they've had too many.
Yeah, so there's this thing called vaccine fatigue, where exactly that, people just think, you know, I've had so many, I've had enough. I think we're coming at people with all sorts of information, asking them to make decisions. And there's so much more going on in the world at the minute, isn't there? You know, people are struggling to heat their homes, people are struggling to put food on the table, people are, you know, stressed over work and money. And, you know, this just feels like one more thing that people have to try and focus on. And it's a lot, I get that. But, you know, 20,000 people going into hospital last year. You know, on every single day in England that we were hit peak flu season, there were 2,400 people in our hospitals in England, in hospital beds, some of those in critical care. It's massive, massive problem.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing there, isn't there, is not just the impact on the individual, but it's the impact on the wider health service.
Well, winter is our busiest time. You know, it is very strained over winter. I mean, the NHS is strained anyway, but in winter we know that the pressures escalate for all illnesses and all infections. So, yeah, we don't want people to end up poorly. And obviously it's Christmas as well, and, you know, people are going out and mixing indoors. You know, 2-3 years ago, the flu rate significantly dropped because we weren't mixing and we were socially isolated, and now all of that's gone. And that's the right thing that it's gone. We've got back to, you know, how it should be. But that means that our risks have also escalated quite significantly.
And dead quickly, for people who are not in those vulnerable groups that you outlined, but they still want to get a vaccine, they go to their pharmacy rather than to the
Yeah, so there's plenty of pharmacies that will be advertising. For a small fee, you can pay to have a flu vaccine, but there's so many people eligible. Please check if you're eligible first. OK, Helen, always good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Something different now. Here's what